Good morning, everyone. Not sure, this might be the first live I've done here in the group. If you haven't noticed, I changed the name because that is the title of the upcoming summit that this group is going to host. And so I wanted to come on here and just share some things that are going on. One, the summit's going to be happening here in this Facebook group. And two, I just started jogging, and not January 1st or anything like that. I started jogging a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago. And I guess it was inspired by people who have been doing the resolutions and things like that. But it was really for me out of frustration. It was for me to really let go some of this anger and resentment that had been building up. If you've been following me on my personal page, I had like a run-in with someone who I invited to the summit, who was a person with letters behind her name and in the mental health space. And so when I approached her, one, I was totally off my game, like totally off my game. I didn't sleep the night before because I had someone visiting. So she was just staying over here at my house on a layover from LAX on her way from the East Coast back to Hawaii. And I originally agreed to pick her up thinking it was 12 noon, not 12 a.m., right? And so I was like, well, I committed to her, and if I was in her situation, I wouldn't want to stay at an airport for 8 hours. And anyway, I decided to be there for my friend, picked her up, took her back to the airport, and then I had a call with this lady. And so today we're talking about Monday motivation and resiliency. And I'll get to the whole jogging thing in a moment, but what happened was because I hadn't slept, and when you don't sleep, raise your hand or give me a 1 in the comments if you know that when we don't take care of our bodies, right? And the number one for emotional resiliency is to get sleep, because sleep pretty much purges our brains of toxins. That's the real short version, right? Sleeping is where we detox our body, like emotionally, physically, and sometimes like when we work out for the first time and then we wake up in the morning, what happens, right? Because this is going to tie in, right? Is we wake up with a whole bunch of lactic acid buildup and our legs are on fire. Like, I don't know what happened yesterday. I was on fire. I was feeling good. Like day one workout, right? And then you wake up with a whole bunch of lactic acid stuck in your muscles. And right, so that is your body releasing these toxins too, right? So anyway, I was so frustrated, and she had triggered this part of me where although I had made steps to work in the mental health space, in the Army, I was a mental health specialist, and I kind of decided I didn't like working with people in like an actual clinical setting because it limited me. Like that. If you know me, I am a straight shooter. I cannot just sit here and talk to you and not tell you what's really on my mind, right? And so I had a really hard time doing that. And I kind of gave up on that dream. Like, well, maybe psychology is not where I'm supposed to be. And then I got married, had a baby, didn't get to finish school. I tried to going back like 3 times, but the work schedule that I had, it was like a rotating 12-hour shift where I would work 12 hours, days and nights, and I would rotate. And so, those of you who have gone to college, right? College is, we meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12 p.m. Like that's when your classes are. You just have to and you have to be at class X amount of days, and you can't miss any, and you have to be there for finals and all of that. And to change my work schedule would mean I would have to swap out with another guy to take my shift. Basically, like calling sick wasn't an option, or like vacation days weren't an option. We'd have to take vacation for like 1 week at a time. Anyway, just because the complexity of our work schedule. So again, I tried to finish my degree 3 times, didn't get to it, found out about coaching, and I said, wow, I can really make a difference. And I did a 12-month program, got my coaching certificate. Anyway, so that's leading me up to having this conversation with this lady, right? So I get on the phone with her. She's like, what are your credentials? And I'm like, I worked in mental health when I was in the military. And she's like, and it's like she just kept drilling me and questioning me really about my credentials and what qualifies me to do the work that I'm called to do, right? So many of you know God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called, right? And so I clearly heard God leading me in this direction, because I know that I wouldn't want to talk about my past relationships. I wouldn't want to talk about like all of the crap stuff that I've been through. But the Lord kept pressing it on my heart. And Queena Tahi is a member of this group. I've been on her podcast twice talking about my narcissistic relationships, because it's a pattern. And I'm sure if you are here in this group, narcissistic relationships are a pattern for you as well. Anyway, so back to the whole narcissistic thing, right? She kept throwing like, oh, I've done this, I've done that, I've written books, I have 2 podcasts. And every time I try to, you know how you try and break the ice with someone, she kept going back to her credentials. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess like maybe we shouldn't have gotten on this call. And I got so triggered. And that was actually the start of when I started running. I had been like walking here and there, but we just moved to this new neighborhood, and it's not bad, but it's not like super great. So I've grown up in rough neighborhoods in Hawaii, so I know what rough neighborhoods look like. This is not one of those, but still on the inside I didn't feel comfortable going outside and walking and like running into people, and just I wasn't ready, Anyway, so this pushing through the resistance thing. So I've been pushing through resistance on like a whole bunch of levels. I pushed through resistance, one with that lady, because she triggered me like so much. And I was just about to like cancel this whole summit. And I was like, maybe I'm not called. Maybe this is not what I'm supposed to do. And it really made me question my calling. And I did a whole bunch of journaling, right? I have really good coaches and mentors that I'm working with, and it was like they took me through this whole purging process. And it's not something that I don't know, but even if you know how to work out, like you just need like a trainer to push you through that resistance. Because although I knew what I wanted to do, like everything inside me wanted to just binge on some Netflix and drink some wine or whatever. And like I don't have any, but you know what I mean? I just wanted to find my form of escape. Oh wow, my battery's dying. So all of that to say, one sec, I'm gonna put you on my charger, because I'm really not done talking to you about this yet. What is happening? Okay. Let's see. Ta-da! We are back. Okay, so anyway, I had these wonderful coaches and mentors that are pushing me through all my Disney stuff, my Disney ears and my lightsabers. I don't know if you can see those. But yeah, just pushing me through, and you have to push through to break through. I'm sure you heard that somewhere. It's not something I coined, but it sounds great, right? And so we have to push through to break through. And if I had let what that lady said really get to me and deter me, but you know what? Sometimes when people tell you no, and I'm sure like people who join this group are in this category as well, because that's the kind of people that attract. That's the kind of people that gravitate to me, because I am a straight shooter. If you don't want to hear the truth, then don't come to me, because we shouldn't be friends if you can't hear it. Anyway, all of that to say, oh shoot, I just went off on a tangent. Anyway, pushing through the resistance, right? So back to the jogging thing. I had adrenal burnout in like 2015, 16, and I was out of work. I just posted on my IG, because I follow people who talk about chronic disease, because I had one of those, and it was affecting me on like my cellular level. And so working 12-hour shifts, 70-hour work weeks plus sometimes. I think one paycheck, I had a 100-hour work week. I had a 100-hour work week, and I only remember it because it was flagged. And so all of that to say, I pushed myself like to the limit, like total type A, total, like always pushing. And it was so bad that when I got the diagnosis, right, I took a whole bunch of blood tests, like 7 vials of Vacutainers, right, to just check to see what I had going on. And what they found was my cortisol level was at 0.8, right? So 0.8. My doctor said, when he's going through my file, looking at the number, and he was like, oh, how are you even like in here today? Like, how are you even like standing in my office? I mean, yeah, my husband drove with me. We had the day off together, and so he was there too. And I'm glad that my husband was there, because I probably couldn't articulate it the same way as a doctor, and I probably would have downplayed it and like really missed my healing, because my husband was the one that actually pushed me to get tested, to go to see the doctor. And if it wasn't for him, I really don't know where I would be right now, because he said, with these numbers, I really don't know how you're here right now. And I know a lot of you in this group are probably just like me, pushing, like you just have to be, hustle AF, right? Or hustler AF, whatever, part of speech you want to do, like noun, adjective, verb, whatever. But so for the reason why I got my coaching certificate is because they had an adrenal fatigue protocol that that was included in this coaching package, and that I wanted to teach to clients, and so what ended up happening was I went through the 12-month coaching certification, and it was through the Health Coach Institute. And then I realized, I said, I think it's deeper than this. I think it's deeper than just teaching people about, physical health, which the certification that I got had NLP and a lot of mindset tools and things that they equipped us with to help people break free from food and disease, right? And so part of everything that I was learning about adrenal fatigue said specifically, like, avoid running, avoid jogging. But what you guys probably don't know is I was a long distance runner for all of my high school life, and then in the Army, right? That's part of what we do. We run and we push ourselves to the limit. And so I considered, like, my identity, I was a runner. And so when everything coming at me after getting this diagnosis said, don't run, don't run, don't run, I lost part of myself. And I didn't know, like, what to do, how to deal. And so this is full circle, right? Going back to this lady who triggered me. And, honestly, what I used to do a lot, like, to get rid of the emotional stress that I was going through in high school, a lot of relationship struggles, struggles at home. My stepmom didn't get me, all these things, and I just felt like things were stacked against me. So my advice on how to release my negative emotions was to go for a jog, because, right, if you know anything about the physical properties of jogging, is endorphins are released, and so it's like, better than eating chocolate, because you don't gain weight, but it has happy chemicals in it when you go running. And I was like, screw it, I need to go for a run, and I just went running. And these past 2 weeks I shattered that glass ceiling that I had about, like, someone with my condition should not run. And you know what? I was still alive, and I feel better than I ever have. Mind you, I'm only, like, doing like a mile, maybe. I don't know, I'm not tracking. I just run one way and I come back. Like, I go till I feel like, oh, okay, I'm kind of winded, I should turn around, and then come back. That's just basically how I've been doing it these past weeks. Like, no pressure, no, like, running log, no tracker, nothing like that. It's just it's not even for weight loss, although I did lose 3 pounds last week. Yay me. It's me clapping for myself. But it had nothing to do, like, I lost literally like 3 pounds overnight. I have lost 20 pounds, like, without working out, just changing my my diet, and it's not even like portion control. Was basically cutting out food allergens, because of inflammation was retaining all of this weight on my body, which is also happening now. And the allergens also affect my cognitive functioning and ability to retain stuff. So that's also going to be part of my personal plan, because mind, body, spirit, like, we are 3-part beings, right? And our 3 parts, just like the 3 parts of the Trinity, the Godhead, right? They work together to do the godly things. And then just like our mind, body, spirit needs to be in alignment. And so I wasn't in alignment when I was talking to that lady. I got triggered. But then, the good thing, I pushed through the resistance. Summit is still happening. Pushed through the resistance, put on my jogging shoes, and I actually went for a walk. And I was so angry, I kind of just like, screw it, I'm going to go jogging. And I went, like, running. And I was like, wow. And then, of course, like, first day, you're like, yeah, you don't feel anything because there's no lactic acid built up. And then day 2 is like, ooh, whole another story. And so that's another part that I wanted to talk about today, is pushing through the lactic acid resistance, right? Right, day 2 is always bad, like, especially if you haven't worked out for a long time, right? All of that lactic acid, which is a byproduct of working out, gets pushed into the muscles, and then but I don't have any degrees in this either, so I shouldn't be teaching it, but I'm giving you a general overview. So if you know better about how lactic acid works, let me know. 100%. But like second day, it's always like you can barely walk. Like I know one time when I started to work out again, I couldn't even like sit down on the toilet. It was so bad. It was so bad. I couldn't sit on the toilet like without assistance or like holding on to like the counter next to me. And so, but I know from experience that pushing through day 2 lactic acid, like that's the only way that you get rid of it, is you have to work out again, and you have to consistently work out until that lactic acid is pushed out of the muscle. Like if you don't work out, like say you work out, today is Monday, right? You work out on Monday, and then you're like, oh my god, like you wake up tomorrow morning, Tuesday, you're like so sore, and you do nothing, it will last. I'm just doing like a personal calculation. I don't know about the scientific facts, but it will last about 3 times as long versus you working out and getting rid of and pushing the lactic acid out of your body. Okay, so it's pushing through resistance in the emotional and the mental is the same thing, right? And we can even use chemicals for our brains as an example. Like when I was triggered by that lady, right, I got flooded with negative chemicals in my brain. Like, I just was like my body was kind of in overload, like to the point where I was so angry, like all I could do was cry, and like these emotions were just whoosh, coming out as tears, and so like I was on emotional overload, right? And so I had to get those emotions out. And what I did to counteract the negative chemicals was I went and I pushed them out with the physical exercise and replacing them with endorphins. And so that's basically all I wanted to talk about today. And hopefully you enjoyed this Monday motivation, and hopefully, look, yeah, all my Disney, repping Disney. So yeah, that's basically it. And if you need help pushing through your resistance, the summit that's coming up is going to talk a lot about how these stories that these ladies have overcome are phenomenal. I'm like, because I look at these ladies, I've met them after. Some I met during, some I met after. After they pushed through. Holy cow. Like the stories that I've heard, like I wouldn't even think that these are the same women. And they're going to be sharing with you tips and tricks on how to push through the resistance and recover resiliently. And I can't wait for you to hear these stories and be inspired by these women. And I swear, it's not even about comparison, about like, oh, well, maybe she could do it and like I can't do it. Like, I really hate that women, we do that to ourselves. And we're like, oh, like either, right, it manifests as, oh, hater, like, but those are just responses that we have to protect ourselves, right? Either like, oh, like you start becoming a hater, or you just distance yourself. And those are all like responses to rejection, basically. Whether it's we're rejecting ourselves, and then we like, or when we feel rejected by something, then we in turn reject that thing that made us feel rejected. Does that make sense? So again, your Monday motivation reminder is push through the resilience. And if you need help with pushing through anything, leave a comment below. And yeah, this group I think is secret right now because I want it to be an intimate space. I want us to share personally, and I am curating all the people that are going to be coming through. And warning, if at any time there are negative Nellies in this group, I'll let you process the thing. But if you're personally attacking other people just out of hate and spite, gone. Bye. 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 I feel like in sync. Bye, bye, bye. Oh yeah, we should have some dance parties in here as well. But yeah, go and have a great week. And don't forget to comment on what you are going to be pushing through this week. Not just out of participation, but when we share our struggles, one, we foster sisterhood. There's a camaraderie that happens when we share and we're vulnerable, right? Brene Brown, like, she built this whole like movement on vulnerability just by being vulnerable. And so that's kind of the energy I want to foster in this space, is us to come together and just support each other as sisters, and to yeah, this is not no hateration in here. And one, post it so we can stand beside you. Sorry, my foot fell asleep. So we can stand with you, in solidarity, and we can like help you move forward and through the resistance. I mean, when someone puts a heart on your post, I mean, doesn't it make you feel good? Like, wow, she's standing with me. Or that's how I feel anyway. Like, I know I post a lot of things, and when people like it, it's not that I am like approval seeking. But when I post something hard or something emotionally hard for me, and I see someone like it, and it may be controversial, I know that they are standing with me, right? And so that's what I want this space to be. Post your thing. We'll like it. We'll share our feedback, whatever. Like, and it would help if you just say, "Way to go, girl," or like, "You got this." All of that, like the encouragement that we can receive from our sisters is so invaluable, right? And also, sharing one for the camaraderie and the support, right? So those are the two things. Like, you can receive support in this space. Hopefully you can receive support in this place. If you can't, then I need to go back to the drawing board. So thank you for listening to the first Monday Motivation in this space, and I hope to talk to you more often. Okay, bye.